A state government department has admitted it was tardy in helping residents of the town of Gayndah deal with a growing bat colony that has taken up residence in the main street. For months, locals have suffered, some claiming they're prisoners in their own homes. Businesses have taken a financial battering as the bat colony swelled to more than 100,000, and now locals are concerned that the bats could be carrying the Hendra virus. Kathy McLeish travelled to Gayndah and filed this report.
The town of Gayndah is nestled on the Burnett River in southern Queensland.
It's a lovely location. Gayndah's a beautiful town. It's a very old historic town.
Life's been fairly predictable for the locals, but in September last year, new residents arrived. And things haven't been the same since.
It's totally changed our way of life in Gayndah.
We do get desperate. You get desperate a lot of the times.
It is driving people out of this town.
What started as a handful of fruit bats in the trees along the river soon swelled to epic proportions. It's estimated 150,000 bats now populate the riverbank that runs through the town. Until last year, the Golden Orange Hotel's riverfront location was one of its greatest assets. But not anymore.
We have a nice beer garden area. People like to come and sit, relax. The smell when the heat gets into the faeces droppings is just horrific.
The hotel's manager, Dennis Wilson, says accommodation and function bookings have dropped.
It's been really hard for us. We have people drive into our drive-through accommodation areas. They ask, what's that noise, that's that smell? Before you have a chance to try and sell them anything, they're out the driveway and they're gone. Financially, it's not crippling, but if it keeps going at this rate, it could well be devastating to the business long term. It wears you down emotionally, I think, more than anything else. The livelihood of 23 people who work for us, as well as the hotel itself, is part of it, but the red tape and from the bureaucrats, it just seems common sense doesn't prevail.
Wendy Lutfi says her riverfront home used to be idyllic, with cool breezes and a beautiful outlook. But now she and her family are in lockdown.
The stench is absolutely unbearable a lot of days. The screeching day and night, it's just never ending. We live behind closed doors and windows. And then it's a big black...
This property belongs to the family.
Well, it's unrentable because of the proximity of the bats.
They own these properties too. One family has already moved out, and she says a tenant is under siege.
The people who rent one of the homes down there have nowhere else to go, so they have to stay. It's just not right.
Under state regulations, it's illegal to cut down trees that bats are roosting in.
They say bats have got rights. To me, this is absolute lunacy.
Aside from the discomfort, the inconvenience and the economic impact the locals say the bats are having on their town, with an increased number of Hendra virus cases this year, they also fear for their health. Kim Robertson lives on the river, directly opposite the colony. She has 5 horses and her daughters compete in dressage at a national level.
We're coming and going from competitions quite a bit, and that's why we sort of worry about the Hendra, because we are travelling, and yeah, we don't want to spread it. And just the worry of the horses, the kids. You know, my children have very close contact with their horses every day, and it's just a constant worry.
The horses are now stabled overnight. Feed and water troughs are covered. But she says despite precautions, horses can still contract Hendra virus, and it's known to be contagious for up to 2 days before symptoms appear.
We're doing everything we can to avoid Hendra, and from what I've been told, every bat colony has Hendra. So these bats here that are only living metres away from my horses have Hendra, and it's basically a matter of time. It's like playing Russian roulette. you know, and we're doing all we can to protect our horses and the kids and humans from catching it. But really, I think the only solution is to move the bats on.
From the Robertsons' property, the bat colony rising as one at dusk is a spectacular sight, but one that adds to the concerns of the community.
There is a health issue here and we're raising that as an alarm.
Joy Jensen is the Mayor of North Burnett Regional Council. She's concerned too that the bats can potentially cause health problems.
Directly behind me is our raw water intake for Gayndah Township, and as you can see, it's directly below the colony. We know there's E. coli in the water directly below the bats and where they're roosting, and Council's monitoring our water and ensuring that it complies with all our health standards, which it is at the moment, but we feel there's a very real threat to the well-being of the town.
In November last year, the council asked the Department of Environment for help.
It's a very big river, the Burnett River, and there's many kilometres of riverbank that they could occupy, but we just don't feel that they're welcome here in the main street of Gayndah.
The community contacted the department to have the bats moved on, but they're a protected species, and even if a permit is issued, it has to be robust enough to withstand challenges in court. It's now up to the community to gather evidence of the impact on the town, but the locals say they need help, not just with the bats, but with the complex bureaucratic process.
Would really like Derm to take the lead role in this. I don't believe North Burnett has the expertise in this. It should not be on our shoulders or our community's shoulders to provide this evidence. They should be up here helping us put this together, and we don't be asking the state to come forward and help.
I think it's a fair comment to say that, you know, together we can move faster on this stuff, and we, you know, I'll make the offer here and now to help council with that. I'll go up there and talk to them myself, as I did with Charters Towers a couple of years ago as well. We have to balance, if you like, the public interest, the animal welfare, and obviously the real needs of the local communities where these animals turn up.
The department concedes it should have done something months ago.
There has been a default position here, which means a passage of time has meant that, as you pointed out, they start small and get big as the colonies congregate. So I think the take-up message for all of us is to, you know, get that engagement and get the relevant information together as soon as we can. And we're actually working to be a bit more proactive in this, in the sense of getting some pre-season permit processes in place, so that when those first animals turn up, a council has a pre-existing permission that they can activate straight away, rather than to reinvent this on each and every case, on each and every merit. The question about the balance comes into play here, the protection of the animal across its range in Queensland, and the ability for us to move flying foxes in a humane way. So then that's the balancing act that we all have to play. So we do stand ready to assist with them as much as we can.
After months of frustration, Gayndah residents are banking on the department moving quickly.
Please, we're begging you, could you please come and move the bats? Just move them into bushland. It's sending us batty.
Kathy McLeish reporting there. And since our visit, the Minister for the Environment has contacted the local mayor and offered to set up talks for next week. Joy Jensen, the North Burnett mayor, says she's hopeful that genuine discussions can take place very quickly.